Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another Mattel Jurassic World figure to take a look at, which you can see is laying on its side, making me look like a complete fool, but that's because it is one of these basic figures, so the packaging is really tall. If I stood it up, we can't really see it anymore, but you can see again the species name right there. We've got a Concavenator now in the basic line, which is really cool because we haven't had one prior, but I will say again, the choices that Mattel makes for the basic figures, it's so random, so out there, it just never makes sense to me. But regardless, again, Concavenator time for the basic figures. You can see as far as the packaging goes, we've got Velociraptor Blue and Beta there, and again, the nice window area there, giving us kind of a sneak peek of the head of the Concavenator. And then here on the back, you can see, even though it's sideways again, the other figures that are in this way. First of all, again, the Concavenator, but the Indoraptor, which has been released prior. We also have the Proceratosaurus, which I believe was actually from... I don't know if it made its debut in this wave or the last wave. This one took a long time to come out compared to the Proceratosaurus. I actually think that the Proceratosaurus debuted in this wave. It just took forever for the Concavenator to get finished. And then we also have the Scorpius Rex, which that's an older figure as well. Pretty cool, though, to see the Scorpius and Indoraptor in the same wave of figures. But regardless, I'm very interested in checking this out. I've always been a fan of the basic figures, so let's pop it open and check out this Concavenator. So here is our basic version of the Concavenator. Let's go ahead and reposition the camera a little bit better, bring it up to see it better. But there is our Concavenator, and in typical basic figure style, you can see we've got very little when it comes to the paintwork on the figure. Interesting looking sculpt and detail, that's for sure. I will say that I think these figures are getting thinner and thinner as they go. They've always been kind of thin, like thinner than your average Mattel figure for sure, but this one, like, look at this guy. He is like paper thin. He reminds me so much of that guy from Beetlejuice that was run over and he just kind of like disappears into the wall. If there was a Dinosaur or Jurassic World version of Beetlejuice, this would be that guy. But again, it's got some nice crisp detail on it, that's for sure. Lackluster paint as always when it comes to the basic figures, and potentially the flattest overall of the basic line that we've seen. But again, it looks okay, I guess, for what it is. So let's jump to a closer look at this brand new Concavenator from Mattel. Starting here at the head sculpt of our Concavenator, you can see it looks a little bit crazy, but a little bit okay, I guess. You've got some skin texture here on the face that looks alright. Pretty vibrant skin texture and fine detail overall. We have some reddish tones there around the eye, almost like reddish brown, and they kind of run up there into the crest area of our Concavenator. We have a yellow eye, and it kind of looks like the reddish tones are the pupil, which is an interesting decision. But overall, again, I think the head sculpt looks kind of in line with what we've seen when it comes to previous Concavenators from Mattel outside of the Hammond Collection version. You can see the teeth are there. They're sculpted out. They're pretty big and bulky, and they are unpainted, but they have a gloss coat, which is like just the most random decision. They should have just painted the teeth, and I know it's a basic figure. They always go for the basic paintwork possible, but it still would have been nice to at least have had some paintwork for the teeth, you know. If you're going to go basic, I think that's at least one of the things. If the teeth are going to be exposed like this, that's one of the things you could do at least. But again, the head sculpt looks okay. As you move up here to the top, you can see we've got quite a bit going on as far as like ridges and stuff all over the top of the head. And then, of course, leading down the spinal column, we've got some creasing here in the neck as you lead down. Clusters of like very small osteoderm-like scales pretty much all over the place, and even more as you lead further down into the body. You have like some tensing here in the neck region of the Concavenator. You've got some more osteoderms moving through. As you lead down into the arms, the skin texture totally changes style, and we have a very reptilian style of scale detail, almost snake-like, I would say, as you move down into the arms. You can see some nice muscle definition there in the arms as well, and then we've got some nice scoots running down the top of the arm and then down into the fingers. No nail paint, of course. Kind of has a glossy look, though, for the nails, slightly. But, of course, the wrists are pronated. They do articulate, though, as far as the arms go. You can see we can go forward and back, and that's really about it. You don't have any other mobility for the arms. They don't go outside to side or anything. But you can see we've got a little tiny bit of girth in the stomach region of our Concavenator. Some pretty nice looking skin texture and stuff back here in the stomach region. But as you move up into the hump of the Concavenator, you can see it's more of like a little bit of a brighter tone of red, kind of like a red-orange almost. And then you can also see that we have an exceptionally dark variation of like a purple up here on the top of that area. And you can see it kind of runs down and sort of designs down into the body. And you can see that red kind of continues to run here along the back and sort of spot down along the side before disappearing. As you move down into the thigh, you can see some nice muscle definition, nice kneecap here in the front of the leg, muscle definition in the calf as well. And as you move down, you can see again how the skin texture completely transitions to a totally different style, and we are back to that super reptilian style skin texture, as we again have that almost like snake-like scale detail to our Concavenator. And you can also see some scoots running down the toes here of the dinosaur. We do have dew claws present, but they are not painted. And you can see again, just like we saw on the hands, the nails do have a little bit of a glossy look to them, somewhat of a satin shine. As we move back up, you can see we lead out into the tail. We continue to have a little bit of that kind of hump leading off here into the tail. We've got a few more little osteoderms and stuff leading out, and some okay looking scale detail as you lead out the length of the tail. The tail is pretty long. That is one of the few advantages of these figures, is you usually get at least somewhat decent tail length for a basic figure. I don't know why, but it does look a little bit awkward. Again, as far as articulation goes, we have the arms, which we already saw. We also have the legs, which can go forward and back pretty nicely. You also have the ankle, so you can swivel the ankles. And then, of course, the tail, again, can go all over the place. Can't really swivel or anything, but it can go up, down, left, right. So some decent articulation. The opposing side is going to look pretty much the same. There's definitely not much in the way of any type of difference you would see over here, except for the positioning of the legs, because this leg is definitely leading, whereas the opposing leg is trailing. And that's really about it as far as difference goes. There's not really a whole lot to a basic figure from Mattel normally, and that definitely is the same case here with this Concavenator. When it comes to a size, it's going to sit right there in the same similar size range you usually see for these basic figures. You can see lengthwise about 14 inches or around 30.5, closing in on 36 centimeters. And then for a height, and this is of course dependent on how you position it when you want it up taller or not, but you're looking at about 6.25 inches or around 16 centimeters to the top of the neck there. About 6.5 inches or around 16.5 centimeters, though, to the top of that hump in the back. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Peppo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our basic Concavenator. And although they're usually termed kind of 12-inch basic figures, this is actually, again, 14 inches in length. So maybe it's slightly different in size. I don't know. I'll have to grab another basic figure here and bring it in. But again, this should give you a pretty good idea of the fact that this figure is still pretty decently sized overall. We've also got a Mattel Dilophosaurus and Velociraptor here next to our basic Concavenator, continuing to show you again that it has a pretty good size. Then here is a comparison with the Concavenator next to the basic Edmontosaurus. Again, like I said, most random decisions as far as species they put in this line, but you can see obviously the Concavenator there is a bit larger. But then when you get a similar sized version of a dinosaur as you have the Scorpius Rex next to the Concavenator, you can see they are in a very similar size range. Interesting, though, to see that the Scorpius Rex did get painted teeth, whereas our Concavenator definitely got the shaft on that one. So this Mattel Jurassic World basic Concavenator is alright, I guess. It's not great, definitely not something that everyone needs to run out and grab right away, because we've had plenty of Concavenators so far from Mattel, including the superior Hammond Collection version. So we don't really need to get this one in our collections, but I'm one of those people that pretty much just buys almost everything Mattel releases. because I'm addicted to collecting their figures at this point, and I'm also a pretty big fan usually of the basic, figures, the 12-inch line, which again, like I said, this one's 14 inches. But the figure does look pretty cool as far as the sculpt goes. Not amazing, but it looks pretty decent. Does have some nice fine detail throughout, and overall has an okay looking appearance as far as a Mattel Concavenator goes. The paintwork, of course, is super lackluster. It always is when it comes to the basic figures, but it's exceptionally lackluster on this one because we don't even have painted teeth, and that has happened a few times now in the past. I'm always a bit let down when they do it because I really feel like they could at least put forth a little effort to paint the teeth. But that said, it could be a pretty fun figure to repaint because, it's got some decent detail throughout. But the actual paintwork that we have here is just as it's advertised, very, very basic. We have some articulation for the figure as well. Again, some okay articulation, nothing to really write home about. I wouldn't mind an articulated jaw on these basic figures because we already have some articulation elsewhere. An articulated jaw wouldn't be the end of the world, but unfortunately, just like with the paint job, the articulation is as basic as possible as well. So if you are interested in grabbing one of these for yourself, I will include a link in the description to where I purchased mine on Entertainment Earth, where you can go ahead and grab yours. I believe you could have potentially ordered this with the entire set of basic figures on Big Bad Toy Store. I don't know if that's still an option. I don't know if that's sold out or not. I will check, and if that's still available, I will include a link in the description to that as well. So make sure you check those links, grab this if you are interested, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.